PNY, who makes GPUs, has come out with 3 new GPUs. They are slim models. They sent one over. This is the 5070 Slim. They also have a 5070 Ti Slim and a 5080 Slim. Very cool. So slim in terms of this way slim. These are true 2-slot GPUs, whereas a lot of the times they technically go over. You get a little bit more width on them. There are 2-fan 5070s on the market. They do exist, but this one is not only a 2-fan, it's also small and it's slim. So if you're working with a very constrained case, this is going to be very good. They also have coming out very soon the 5070 Ti model of this, which again is a 2-fan, which is the only 2-fan 5070 Ti that I know of. And again, it's slim, and a 5080. That's crazy. A 2-fan 5080, and again, slim. I'm going to slap that into here. This is an Encore 100. It looks really big on camera because that's how they are, but it is a pretty thin case. Like that is a slim, physically slim case. Like you can see there, right? The box is in comparison, like how slim that case is there. It's a bit tall, so that's always obviously nice. You get a little bit more height on it. You can put longer GPUs in here, and you can put ever so slightly wider GPUs in here, but it's still going to be a slim case. And in my opinion, if you have more clearance, it's going to improve airflow regardless. But we'll just put it in this because this is what I have right now to test it in. Again, this is primarily designed for, you can use it in these type cases, but it's going to be really, really key for people who are going like super small form factor, not, medium small form factor or like a large type case. You can use it, of course, it's totally fine. But if you're really trying to get this into a tiny, tiny, tiny little case or an eGPU. So we have the PNY shop, all kinds of stuff here. They're goodies. I have where are you? I had that. I have currently, I think it's this one. No, 5070 Ti. Mine's the OC, I believe. So I think it's that one right there. That should be it. Cool. Yeah. They also make a lot of the OEM stuff. PNY makes, like the ATA 2000, the Blackwell 2000. They make a lot of those GPUs as well. And they're fantastic. That's like Nvidia themselves trust them to make their OEM stuff for their professional systems. So they obviously make good GPUs. I've been using them for years. I like them. But today we're not talking about those other ones. We're talking about these 5070, 5070 Ti, 5080. Something you can notice here is 2-fan, 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 2-slot. Oh, I got to go a little further here. 2-slot, 2-slot. It's crazy. I mean, the 5070, you can get 5070s that are 2-fans. They exist. I believe this is the only 2-slot, like true 2-slot, where there's not like an overhang there. So even with the 5070, it's pretty impressive to be able to get a very well designed, you'll see in this video, 2-slot, 2-fan design. It's a lovely little proposition for us there. Then we have the PNY 5070 Ti, and these are the only 2-fan, at least in the North American market, and like non-custom stuff, the only 2-fan 5070 Ti. And again, it's also a 2-slot. So crazy, right? Most of the 5070 Ti's are not 2-slot, and they're certainly not 2-fan. And then we have the 5080, which again, there are no 2-fan 5080s, and there's certainly no 2-slot 5080s. There's the FE card, which I guess technically is 2-fan. It's just designed a little weird, and it's certainly not as slim as this and as small as this. So, these are very impressive. These are very, very, very impressive. They have a slim and a slim OC model. You can grab whichever one you want. They're both gonna be fine. Yeah, and you may look at them and be like, well, how are they going to stay cool? Well, Blackwell stuff is not super high wattage. 250 for a 5070 peak, 330, and 360. All of these can be cooled by a 2-fan. Obviously, there's a performance gap between them, 5070, 12 gigabytes VRAM, and then you get 16 gigabytes on both of these here, and there's a performance jump there. So it all depends what you're looking for and what type of resolution you're gaming at. And the last thing I'll do is I'll just look at their little product brochure here, but I really just want to show you the dimensions here. So obviously we know they're 2-slots, so they're very, very slim, but the length, right? The length here is quite impressive, 290. And then there's these here, 290 on a 5070 Ti. So not only is it quite short, very, very short, whereas the averages, even for the SFF, are over 300 millimeters. It's also 2-slot. And then the 5080, 300 millimeters. That's still shorter than the average SFF GPU, and again, it's 2-slot. So very impressive here. So let's just jump right in. But yeah, here's a look at the GPU. Open this up. Okay, so what do we have going on here? PNY. Always like the PNY Nvidia stuff, very nice. Obviously the plastic backing, we'll take that off. Here. Okay, very nice. That's metal, so it's a nice metal backing, not plastic. Very good. That'll help with temperatures. Big cutout there to help push air right through the back here. Very nice. Looking nice. Obviously, it's very thin. That's a very, 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 very thin 5070. You can see that there. I have, other GPUs, 5070 Ti's and that kind of stuff. And I mean, there are pretty big size differences. Now, this is a different brand. It's a different brand, and it's also AMD. But I just want to show you something. So this is, the same class. The 9070 and the 5070 are in the same class of GPU. Each have benefits and negatives, I suppose, depending on what you're looking for. But they're in the same class. That's quite literally what they are. Modern 2025, 2026 GPUs, right? We can see here they're almost the exact same height, very similar if we get them lined up. Obviously, the 9070 on the left is slightly taller this way. They're not meant to be, super short like single fans, but they're like, this is technically can fit into pretty much any small form factor case unless you have an ultra small form factor. So that's that there. Now let's put them face to face, and this is where things really do separate out. It probably won't show up on camera very well, but it is so much thinner, like it's noticeably thinner. We have also really good fin density here, radiator fin density on the PNY and the 5070 right there. And these will run at like similar watts. The 9070, the non-XT, also runs at, fairly low watts. So, yeah, it's pretty big, to be honest. I mean, you could still build with this, but it's definitely not, look at that. That's like a thick boy right there. We have our two slot and essentially a full 3 slot, even though it doesn't have like the 3 slot thing on it with the actual shroud. It is much, 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 much thicker, right? We'll bring that in there. We can get in close there. Right, so there's a considerable amount of height there. I mean, we're looking at with that fan shroud there. We're looking at like 1.5 centimeters. That's quite a bit. 2.5 slot can actually end up causing the fans to sit basically right next to an intake. Right, for example, this is just an example, just sitting right next to an intake, and so maybe it does physically fit. But if you have a fan right next to an intake, especially if that intake is perforated, like different types of perforations, you can actually get resonance, really annoying resonance, where the air is being sucked through, those little tiny perforations, and you end up getting kind of like a, and that, for me, that drives me crazy, right? And a lot of the times, there's nothing you can do in those situations, you just have to deal with it. But if you're able to bring the GPU back slightly, even on a case that is okay, like this here, this will have a full extra slot down here. It'll be okay with it. We're able to pull this back a whole level there, right? And now by pulling this back a whole level here, we end up with, 1.5 centimeters of clearance here between this side here and, the actual, bring out the actual panel here, right? Like we end up with an actual panel, right? These will cause resonance irritation if the fan is right there. It's just the way that it is, right? It's much more likely to cause annoying sounds. Whereas if you're sitting back further and you're pulling from a further point, you're kind of, rather than pulling right through those holes, you're just pulling air in general. And I have personally found that it does reduce that kind of resonance, like, it's not a hiss, it's like a, I don't know what that sound is described as. Look at that. It's pretty. Matches the case too. Actually matches the case really well, to be honest. So looking into it, you're not gonna be able to see it. That's nice. It's not a big RGB monster, thankfully. I'm not an RGB guy. Sorry, RGB bros. But yeah, it's looking good. Here we go. We're slotted in. That's clean. I mean, again, there's a little bit of extra room. We can see here, a little bit of extra room over here, and that'll allow us a little bit more room where the fans are not sitting right at the front. And I can say that confidently because I've been on a lot of builds recently, even on like ATX systems, where I had the fans where, big fans right up against, I'll just grab something here, like right up against like a mesh like that, and the fan was like basically touching it, and not just the vibration of the fan physically, touching it, even just being so close, there was that really super annoying resonance of pulling through. So I'm quite happy that this 2 fan here, this 2, like it's a true 2 slot, allows that extra freedom there. I guess that's an exhaust, right? Yeah, that's an exhaust, so that'll pull out there. It'll just be pulling air, sucking it right out there. Air will come in here, it'll exhaust out these different ways and then go right over there. The nice thing as well is because we do have that through, there's a through hole there, that's going to end up hitting the back there and it'll just get sucked right out the back there. So this should evacuate pretty well here. This is a nice little case. Interesting. It does have, this case does come, this one specifically comes preset with the AIO cooler and the actual power supply. I think you can get these without them. 850 watt Cooler Master V850. I mean, that's a good power supply as it is. And it's overkill for this. 5070 plus 7900X is it's very overkill. But okay, so it's been actually a day, full day, maybe a little longer actually. I've just been using the PC to be honest. Played some Crimson Desert here. Not really my kind of game, but it's the new hotness, I suppose. So played a little bit here. I guess I'm past the intro part, so I've been playing for, I don't know, an hour, maybe something like that. And we can check here where we're at. So this is 4K. I mean, the 5070 is not specifically designed for 4K, but you can absolutely do 4K on it. It's more of a 1440p, but again, you can do 4K, even in modern titles. So we can see here, let's get a place where we can see a little better. There we go. So we can see here the temperatures and all that kind of stuff. We'll just bring you up here. So again, I've been playing for about an hour or so, and we can see that the temperature is just around 70 degrees, basically. And that's interesting because this, I mean, the GPUs, it doesn't have anything feeding it. Like it doesn't have a direct feed from anywhere. It's just, that's what the GPU is doing. It's just pulling through the little mesh there, and that's the temperature it's able to get. So, you know, if you slap this thing into a big airflow case, that's, I mean, it's obviously designed to keep things cool, that's fine. But a lot of cases when you get these slim GPUs, they're not designed to go into necessarily the biggest cases. They're often designed specifically to go into thinner cases. This case here has no airflow for the GPU, no dedicated airflow. It's literally just what the GPU can pull in. So that's just the raw cooling factor of the GPU, right? That's obviously quite nice. The fact that we're keeping around 70 degrees, no problem. The GPU is pulling high watts for 5070. Obviously you can see there 240 watts, that's quite a bit. So there's no problems there. Despite the fact that it's pulling its high watts, it's not running hot. And we can see, you know, the VRAM is totally fine in this game here. The CPU here, not the best case for CPU. So interestingly, I mean, the GPU I can't hear it at all. The CPU I can hear because it's a one fan AIO, but that's fine. And the FPS are good, obviously. So I mean, despite the fact that we're at 4K here in very high settings, a little scaling of course, but you know, very high settings here. Have some DLSS on, but we're at 4K, and you can see we're at Ultra, right? So yeah, you can do some 4K with a 5070, obviously. We don't need to really know too much what 5070 can do, but again, it's totally fine for 4K. I play primarily at 4K, and I'm okay with, you know, 60 to 70 FPS in the titles that I play. But if you play at 1440p, that's where something like this can absolutely sing, right? You can go to 1440p. The other thing is here, because it's a, I mean, we know what this can do. The fact that it has frame gen, you can do 4 times frame gen, that kind of stuff, because it's a current gen Nvidia, right? So because we were at, well, we were over 60 as a baseline, I'm totally fine to throw on frame gen, because, you know, our base frame rate here was good, right? We were at 60, 70, and the lows are pretty good here too. So now we can throw on DLSS frame gen and have no problems here. So what is that giant guy there? Not very far in this game. It's like a massive dude with a huge beard. It's like Santa Claus without a shirt. Anyways, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's a lot you can do here. Let's throw it down to 1440 here. All right, we can turn frame gen back off. Go like that. Ray reconstruction, we can probably turn on some of that stuff here, right? I mean, now we're going to be up here, hit the CPU a little harder, but now, I mean, we're at even higher FPS, obviously. We can throw on some of the other goodies here. Ray reconstruction kind of stuff here. So there's some ray reconstruction there at 1440p. So, I mean, you can do a lot with these GPUs here, right? Like the 5070 is a 5070. If you're really you know, interested in doing 4K gaming, remember, the PNY is putting out the 5070 Ti model of this and a 5080. Those two would both be more suitable for 4K because they have 16 gigabytes of VRAM and they're just more powerful. The 5070 is very capable at 1440p. Like, honestly, it's very, very capable. You can see here we have ray reconstruction on. So let's come in here. I'm just going to put it back up to 4K just to make sure I'm truly slamming the GPU. as much as possible. And then we're actually going to check some temperatures and noise and that directly from the GPU. CPU is obviously making some noise here, but that's okay. I'm going to turn off rake reconstruction here for now. Okay, so you can see the GPU wattages are up really high. Let's bring the computer over here. It's a little hard to isolate the sound from the CPU fan. I mean, it is what it is. But we'll bring it over here. We can check the raw thermals of the GPU as well, like external thermals as well. It's a nice little case for that, easy to pop it the top off. So let's bring you guys over here. Go like that. Okay, so yeah, most of the noise is actually coming out of the top here because we have an AIO, single fan AIO coming out here for a 7900X, which is pretty powerful CPU, a high wattage CPU, and the CPU is pulling 100 watts right now, so that's okay, that's understandable. So we're coming here. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my camera ready because the moment I pop this off, I'm going to do some thermal imaging here and see what we can get for surface temperatures. We know that the GPU itself is obviously running cool. There's no, because I'm able to set this back further, set it back a whole tier here. Again, the fan is not directly up against this metal here, so there's no hissing or like that sound. There's none of that because we're not putting the fan right on here and pulling directly through the grill there. Okay, so now we're recording a little bit here. Let's pop that open. We can just pop right in and we can see the thermals of the GPU. Obviously, it's just ripping. And let's see here what we're getting for. Right, it comes out as red, but to be honest, it's really not that hot. Like even down here, some of the hot spots, 71 in some of the back plate there, that's really not too bad. Right, we're pushing air out this way, we're pushing air out that way. So for these thin cases, it's no problem. Again, there's nothing feeding into the GPU and there's no air, like case airflow flowing over it. With a bigger case, an airflow style case, front to back airflow, whatever, you'd have air coming in like this, where it would be flowing through the case, cooling the backplate and that too. So this is what I would consider almost like a stagnant case. Yeah, it's able to pull in air, but the GPU needs to do all the work here. And there's absolutely no thermal issues whatsoever, so it's looking pretty good here. Very nice. You see it just pumping air out the back there. Okay, now here we are hooked up to my eGPU. We're running it over here. I have a mini PC hooked up, and the mini PC is just, it has a really annoying fan, so I'm trying to block some of the sound. There's still noise coming off of it. This is nearly completely silent. It's going to be really hard to get that mini PC out, but okay. Yeah, it's really difficult. It's essentially completely silent. It is producing noise. I put my ear right up to it. There is sound, but it's so quiet and it's under full load. I'm going to bring the mic actually in. Absolutely no whirring, no hissing, nothing like that. The vast majority of sound's actually coming from the mini PC, because as you can see here, I mean, it's just a tiny little thing. This is a messy setup right now, but it's just a tiny little thing that's just a tiny little thing with a small little fan in there, so you can hear that. It does produce sound, but it's basically inaudible. Inside of a case that's not so noisy with the, that there, it would be completely inaudible. So the nice thing is, despite the fact that this is a very thin, slim GPU, it is quite quiet. So happy that I tested it on the eGPU, because we were really able to, isolate the noise of this here from what was a fairly noisy system there. It was certainly not due to the GPU. All right, let's just wrap it up. Straightforward. It's a fantastic little GPU. 5070 is a 5070. It's a good GPU, 12 gigabytes of VRAM, pretty considerable step up from last generation. The 4070 to the 5070 is a pretty big jump, honestly. You get access to stuff like DLSS4 and all that, whatever. If you care about that, it's a 5070, 5070. But what we're talking about here is this thing runs nice and cool, despite the fact that it is slimmer, right? It's a true two slot, there we go. And it's also, only a 2 fan. I'm very interested to see what the 5070 Ti and the 5080 can do. I mean, this one, the 5070 is not a super high wattage offering in general. It's pretty efficient. But then again, so are the 5070 Ti and 5080. That's one of the benefits of the ATA and the Blackwell offerings from Nvidia is not just, raw power over ampere, it's the efficiency. The efficiency gains were huge and are huge. So that's that there. I mean, if you're looking for a slimmer GPU, I mean, we're in a market now where, things are going up in general. And so back in the day, you might have looked at this and been like, just get the cheapest one, whatever, it doesn't matter, just this is fine. But we're getting to the point now where like generally system building is somewhat expensive. So it's like, if you're gonna be building, like an SFX small form factor system anyways, I mean, getting into something like this can be really nice because it can really expand your options. I'm very curious to see what the 5070 Ti and the 5080 can do in this form factor here. Keep the size down, give you more options is always nice. So that's the PNY here, pretty happy with it. I mean, runs cool, looks slick, slim little guy there, lots of options. So I'll check it out. I'm gonna see if I can get my hands on a 5080 or a 5070 Ti. I feel like they're gonna sell it really fast, but I'm gonna try and see if they can come. And if they'll do, I'll do a review of those as well. But this one here, fantastic. I mean, you know what a 5070 can do. This one's just slimmer and sleeker.